Bishop, welcome back to the show. It's always a hectic time, traveling around the world and rebuilding the studio every time I return and leave. But I mean, it's nothing compared to how hectic things have been back here in the United States with the impeachment hearing. How are you today, Bishop?
I am doing great, my friend. And there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C. and around the world. It seems like everything is coordinated, by the global deep state. So these are some very powerful times that we're living in.
Yeah, it's historic for sure. Now, I was just a very young child when Watergate was happening, but of course, there's these inevitable comparisons to that. And although I think there was a lot of deep state involvement with Watergate, and it probably wasn't, like so many things, it probably wasn't what people were told it was at the time. It's nothing compared to what's happening to Donald Trump. You've prepared one of your standard, thoroughly researched and well documented presentations for us today, where you're going to go through everything from the conception of this salacious dossier that accused the President Trump. Sorry, let me collect my thoughts here. The dossier accused President Trump of some ridiculous and horrendous things for which no evidence whatsoever has been presented. No testimony from those alleged to have carried out the acts has been recorded, but yet it was the basis for all of this. What have you got for us today, Bishop?
Yes, sir. The conception, birth, and the plot to destroy President Donald J. Trump. This would be a two-part series. We're going to be beginning with the conception and the birth of this plot, and then part two on next Tuesday, Jason. We're going to be dealing with the Ukrainian aspect of this series. First, the conception.
Hmm.
In order for us to understand what's going on right now, during the Senate trial and what went on a month ago, 2 months ago, concerning the congressional inquiry, we have to go back to the very beginning of this conception, which starts with the uranium scandal
Right.
dealing with the Clinton Foundation, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, because that is the foundation, the pretext that brought on this fake FISA warrant in the dossier trying to destroy Trump. So it begins not with the Russian dossier, but it begins back in 2006, Jason, where the government of Russia approved a plan to spend $10 billion to expand its annual uranium production by 600%.
Hmm.
Now, it's interesting that the program was led by the Russian state owned Atomic Energy Corporation, Rosatom,
Right.
which its founder is President Vladimir Putin. So Rosatom, their main concentrations are nuclear energy, nuclear reactors, and of course making weapons of mass destruction through the nuclear weapons complex. So quickly here, the Russians plan, the plan of Russia for global uranium domination goes again back to between 2010 now to 2013. Now, in 2013, the Rosatom Corporation acquired the Canadian uranium mining company called Uranium One in Toronto, Canada. Now, there is an offshoot of Uranium One, Jason, called Uranium One Africa, that was sold in 2010 to the Gupta family. This is an Indian family out of South Africa
Hmm.
with ties to Dr. Sanjay Gupta of CNN. I'll come
Whoa.
back to that later on before the broadcast is out. So the Uranium One they have assets in U.S. uranium key materials for making weapons of mass destruction. Okay, so this deal that happened back in 2010, Russia now owns 20% of the uranium in the United States of America. So through this agreement, Jason, no uranium was to be exported. This
Hmm.
agreement was approved by 9 governmental agencies through the Committee on Foreign Investments in the United States, okay, and also through the National Security Council, and also which revealed in implicit terms the national security implications of foreign investments. So now you have not just 9 governmental offices and departments involved in this, but a totality of 16 departments and agencies through the approval of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. This is back in 2010. So from 2010 to 2013, as we go through this historical ley line, which brings us up to today as far as the Ukrainian Senate trial. So back to 2010 through 13, the uranium was exported anyway. This goes directly against the regulations through the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Okay, so then the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, or the CFIUS, which was chaired, okay, by the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, Jack Lew. Okay, so you have 16 governmental agencies and departments, Jason, that were paid millions of dollars by Vladimir Putin and the Russian government. But yet they're trying to pull in President Donald J. Trump in this so-called Russian collusion. So the conception here, between 2009 and 2013, Hillary Clinton quickly was the Secretary of State. Through the Clinton Foundation and through the Clinton Global Initiative, as early as 2010, Jason, Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 by an investment bank out of Russia called the Renaissance Capital Group. That's interesting because a part of that group was not only Vladimir Putin, but a former Russian mobster who is now a billionaire by the name of Mikhail Prokhorov. Now, Mikhail Prokhorov is the former owner of the Brooklyn Nets and the National Basketball Association. So Prokhorov is the former president of a company called the Onexium Group, capital ONEXIN Group, which was heavily tied to the Russian mob in the early to mid and late 1990s. So the key players, Jason, in this cover-up, as we are dissecting the conception, birth, and the plot to destroy Donald J. Trump, the key players through this cover-up that sold uranium to the Russians was Robert Mueller, former director of the FBI, James Comey, Loretta Tarmac Lynch, John Brennan, former director of the CIA, James Clapper, former director of national intelligence, of course, Hillary Rodham Clinton, former Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013, including the Clinton Foundation as the conduit for millions of dollars to be funneled through Hillary Clinton throughout the apparatus of the government of the United States of America. This is the reason why they want to bring down Donald J. Trump. Now, it's interesting, Jason, that between 1998 to 2018, the auditing firm called Ernst & Young was auditing the Pentagon, and Ernst & Young stated that $21 trillion is missing from the government budget through the Pentagon. Where is that money? All the way back from 1998 to 2018, Ernst Young, and one of its key board members during this time, is a former British ambassador to Russia, Sir Andrew Wood, who was the main person, the key person that gave the Russian dossier to the late John McCain.
Huh. Now, I haven't heard that name before. Sir Andrew Wood, you said, Bishop?
Absolutely. Sir Andrew Wood is the former British ambassador to Russia, who sits on many multinational boards, not just on Ernst & Young, but he also sits on the Renaissance Capital Investment Bank, the same bank that gave Bill Clinton $500,000 for his speech back in 2010 that began this Ukrainian conspiracy.
Wow.
So then, this is the reason why they want to destroy Donald Trump. So then, according to William Campbell, who was an undercover FBI agent, he said that Russia sent millions of dollars through a lobbying firm called APCO, capital APCO,
Yeah.
worldwide. And through APCO, they paid a $3 million annual fee to who? To the Clinton Global Initiative. This is all paid for play.
Yeah.
So Barack Obama approved through the Nuclear Regulatory Commission back in 2010 that uranium from the United States, 20%, was to be transported to Canada, and from Canada throughout Europe, and from Europe to Iran. Now, remember the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, which the President Trump, destroyed, canceled, and rightfully so in 2018.
Mhm.
And from Iran, that same uranium was also transferred, a small part, to the regime in North Korea to build their nuclear program. And this is the reason why John Bolton, who's going to be exposed if he testifies, not only did he take a $115,000 retainer for speeches in Kyiv in the Ukraine back in 2015 and 16, but John Bolton is involved in this uranium conspiracy. So then, the conception now, 20% of America's uranium is sold to the government of Russia. So the Russian government gave an additional $145 million to the Clinton Foundation. There was a man by the name of Frank Giustra, capital
Justra.
Gius.
Justra.
Justra, thank you. Capital Giustra, Justra. Thank you so much for that correction. So he was the former founder and the CEO of a company called Eurasia Energy, capital UR, then capital ASIA Energy. He gave $31.3 million to the Clinton Foundation.
Mm.
So then, Vladimir Putin had said in a press conference with President Trump that billionaire Bill Browder, and you brought him up a month ago. Remember, Jason, Bill Browder,
Yeah.
okay? Bill Browder is a multi-billionaire, a hedge fund financier. Putin said that Bill Browder gave $400 million to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Wait a minute, $400 million. And then the press said it was actually 400,000. No, it was 400 million that was passed through the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign in 2016, which is a crime against campaign finance regulations. But that money was funneled to the Clinton Global Initiative, pay for play. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, her son, Paul Pelosi Jr., along with this company called the Corporate Governance Initiative, went to the Kyiv in the Ukraine in 2017, was a board member of several oil and gas companies. Viscoil, capital Viscoil, and he was also the executive on the board of a group called NRG Lab. So Paul Pelosi is a part of this Ukrainian conspiracy. But going back to 2015 to the Iranian nuclear deal, why was the lab so enamored to push this deal? Because every part of the American government, including the Congress and the Senate, were paid, Jason, millions of dollars because of this pay for play Uranium One deal. This is another reason why the deep state wants to destroy our great president, President Donald J. Trump. As we continue here in the birthing part, 2016, Senator John McCain attended a security conference in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, November 2016, after the presidential election. John McCain was approached by the former British ambassador to Russia, Sir Andrew Wood, who served at that time as an advisory board member of Ernst & Young, who had audited the Pentagon, Jason, back in 2018, that $21 trillion is missing from the Pentagon. Andrew Wood was a part of that auditing process. He was also a board member of the Renaissance Capital Investment Bank, the same bank back in 2010 that gave Bill Clinton $500,000 as a pay-for-play for this Uranium One scandal. John McCain, and I'm not bashing John McCain's credibility or his soul, God rest his soul.
I'll
But
bash it,
John
Bishop.
McCain, yeah.
He deserves
John
bashing.
McCain,
He was a criminal in
I'm
life,
going
and
to
he
say,
should be admonished in death.
he was a traitor.
Correct.
John McCain, who sold weapons on the black market to Al Qaeda and to the Taliban, was a traitor. Okay?
Absolutely.
John McCain died a bitter man, had a vendetta against Donald J. Trump. So John McCain, Andrew Wood was called into this meeting by Andrew Wood. Andrew Wood called John McCain in this meeting back in November 2016 in Nova Scotia, Canada, along with a man by the name of Chris Brose, capital Brose. At the time, Jason, he was a staff member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Also, a man by the name of David Kramer, who was and still is a part of the McCain Institute at Arizona State University, also received a copy of the dossier. So Andrew Wood, sitting on the board of Ernst & Young, who had audited the Pentagon.
Ooh. Sorry, excuse me, Bishop. Is this the correct guy here that I have on screen right now? Chris Brose?
Chris Brose. Yes, he is. That's him.
Aspen
Absolutely.
Institute.
Aspen Institute. Yes, absolutely. But at the time, yeah, absolutely. But at the time, back in November 2016, he was a staff member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. And why he was at the security conference, we don't know. Okay, that's interesting. So then, Andrew Wood, who sat on the advisory board of Ernst & Young, who audited the Pentagon, $21 trillion is missing. He stopped auditing because he told his subordinates to stop auditing the Pentagon. Was also a board member of the Renaissance Group that gave Bill Clinton $500,000 back in 2010, gave a 35-page dossier that was compiled and given to him by the former MI6 agent Christopher Steele. Now, Christopher Steele co-founded the Obrist Business Intelligence Limited Group in London.
I've been there, Bishop.
Yes.
Did you see that video?
Yes, I saw it. Absolutely. And they are scared of you, Jason. I'm telling you. You are a true patriot, my friend. And also when you went and exposed Andrew McCabe, awesome. Excellent. So, yeah, absolutely. So between 2014 and 2016, Christopher Steele compiled 100 reports on the Russian and Ukrainian issues, concerning Russian and Ukrainian issues. And there are those within Russian and Ukrainian intelligence that said that Christopher Steele had bribed a lot of people to compile this dossier, which is one of the most salacious lies, documental lies in political history. So the Obrist Business Intelligentsia Limited Group has grossed $20 million in their first 9 years of existence. Okay. So then, now the question is, who hired Christopher Steele? A company by the name of Fusion GPS. You can go to fusiongps.com, fusiongps.com. They are a company that specializes in opposition research. GPS, Global Research, Political Analysis, and Strategic Insight. Glenn R. Simpson, Peter Fretch, and Thomas Catan all former workers for the Wall Street Journal, and Glenn R. Simpson, whose family has close ties to the CIA, was contracted, okay, by who? The Perkins Coie law firm. I'm going to get to that. That's the law firm who still represents the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
So and Glenn R. Simpson, and it's interesting, Jason, that the Fusion GPS location, they're in the same building at 1050 Connecticut Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., the same building that the law firm, the Baker Hostetler firm, that one of the lawyers, Ralph Blasey III, the brother of Christine Blasey Ford, who accused Brett Kavanaugh of rape.
Right.
So, wait a minute, hold up. So then Fusion GPS is in the same building, okay, was as far as 3 years ago, in the same building as Baker Hostetler, the same law firm that the brother of Christine Blasey Ford, Ralph Blasey III, and he was an employee from 1989 to 2004.
Now,
So
Bishop,
it's
guess
interesting.
what? I've been here too.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. You are a true revolutionary, my friend. That I'm telling you, Jason, I thank God for you, man, because you are a great, great host. And and continue to interrupt me as you please, because we're connecting these ley lines. So then this firm, the Baker Hostetler firm, made payments, Jason, to Fusion GPS of over $500,000 between the 7th of March 2016 to the 31st of October 2016. And in another case in October 18th of 2016, the appellate court in Washington, D.C. disqualified Baker Hostetler from a case. Why? Because Baker Hostetler had represented, guess who? Bill Browder's hedge fund company, the Hermitage Capital Management firm.
Right.
So the same man who gave $400 million to Hillary Clinton's campaign, which really went to the Clinton Global Initiative, according to Vladimir Putin, is the same man that was once retained by Baker Hostetler, the same firm that the brother of Christine Blasey Ford once worked with. So again, we're connecting the conception that will give birth to the plot of President Donald J. Trump. September 2015, Fusion GPS was hired by the Washington Free Beacon, which is a conservative political website, to do opposition research on Donald Trump. In 2016, the Washington Free Beacon stopped funding for the investigation of Donald J. Trump. Now, as we move forward in April of 2016 to October 2016, the law firm of Perkins Coie in Seattle, Washington, who represents the Clintons, who represents the DNC, the Democratic National Convention Committee, who represents Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, was retained by Hillary Clinton, okay, to hire Fusion GPS to do opposition research on our great president, President Trump. And Fusion GPS in June of 2016 retains or hires Christopher Steele, a former MI6 agent. And by the way, the Obris Business Intelligence Limited is nothing more than an MI6 front.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Bishop, let me pause you for a second, because people who haven't seen the video in which I visit them, a young, attractive American woman answered the door. They were not expecting me at all. And I don't know what she's doing there, but is it possible that she could have been part of the CIA? Also, I wanted to point out, when we look at the Perkins Coie website right now, they're wishing their Chinese friends best wishes for the Chinese New Year, which I guess is the year of the rat. And very prominently positioned on the rat, we see these 6-pointed stars.
Wow. Again, as we connect these, what I call the dark arts, I mean, this is Again, this is wicked when you talk about Chinese intelligence. And mind you, remember some months ago, I can't remember the owner of the Houston Rockets in the NBA. He spoke out against the Chinese government concerning the Hong Kong uprising, and rightfully so, against the communist Chinese government. Daryl Morley, and then LeBron James, who is actually a financial receiver of the Chinese government, spoke out against the owner, Daryl Morley, of the Houston
Well,
Rockets. So
Bishop,
another topic.
the internet is telling us that the owner of the Houston Rockets is Tillman Fertitta.
Well, yeah, Daryl Morley is the general manager of the
Got it.
Houston Rockets.
And full
Yeah, so
disclosure, I've done some work for the Houston Rockets. I created a virtual reality movie of the Yao Ming induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame. And it's worth mentioning that the Houston Rockets have some history with the Chinese government having hired Yao Ming to be their player.
nothing is by accident, because you look at the National Basketball Association, and in upcoming in 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to be beginning a new series that's going to actually blow the minds of your listeners concerning Kobe Bryant being a Luciferian project. And his death this past Sunday was not by accident or random.
Wow.
Another topic for another day, upcoming in a few weeks. So then this unverified, this unsubstantiated dossier that was compiled between June to December of 2016, the Russian dossier, through Mark Elias. Now, Mark Elias is an interesting character. He was the lead election lawyer for Perkins Coie, okay, who also distributed the dossier throughout the major networks of the crack news network, CNN and ABC and NBC and CNBC and MSNBC and the New York Times, the Washington Times. So then, John McCain, a traitor, okay, received the dossier, okay, from Sir Andrew Wood in November 2016. Now, John McCain doesn't take it directly to the FBI. He holds on to the dossier for a period of 1 month. Until December 9th of 2016, John Benedict Arnold McCain held on to the dossier for a month and called James Comey of the FBI. So then $12.4 million, Jason, is paid to Perkins Coie by Hillary Clinton through the Clinton Global Initiative to find dirt on Donald J. Trump. So then, as we move forward here during this conception, before the election day of November 2016, the FBI, Jason, paid Christopher Steele to continue his research. Wait a minute. You are telling me that a major U.S. governmental law firm, okay, paid a foreign entity, a spy, formerly of MI6, Christopher Steele, money to bring down Donald Trump. So then the entire governmental apparatus of the United States government was weaponized to bring down one man, Donald J. Trump. We have not seen anything on this level since the days of JFK. So during the presidential transition, Jason, between November the 9th, 2016, the day after the election, to January 19, 2017, the day before the inauguration of Donald J. Trump, FBI, the director of the FBI, James Comey, Andrew the Rat McCabe, okay, John Brennan of the CIA, the director of NSA, Admiral Mike Rogers of the National Security Agency, and the director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, met with Barack Obama and Joe Biden and met with Donald J. Trump last. So these devils were trying to create a conspiracy to destroy a duly elected president way before his inauguration. So they met with Barack Obama and Joe Biden, and Barack Obama green lighted, Jason, The pretext based on a salacious, filthy document called the Russian Dossier or the Trump Dossier that was compiled by a former MI6 agent, Christopher Steele, and most of his information he got from the internet, really, from the CNN report going back to 2009. So then, the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, established in 1978. Okay. So then, the FISA court, when we examine about the complexity of the FISA court, you see, the FISA court is a United States federal law court that establishes procedures for the physical and electronic surveillance and collection of, get this, foreign intelligence information between foreign powers and agents of foreign powers suspected of espionage or terrorism. That doesn't fit Donald J. Trump. So Barack Obama committed a crime. Barack Obama
Not just one.
altered, not just one. And listen, the Obama administration is the most corrupt, demonic administration in U.S. presidential history. I don't care if he's black. Barack Obama altered the executive order 12333. Let me say it again. Barack Obama, between the transition from the transition of his administration on November 9, 2016 to January 19, 2017, Barack Obama altered the executive order of 12333 to give governmental bureaucrats in 16 additional agencies, Jason, unprecedented access to raw intel concerning the dossier, which many members throughout the federal government did not have a security clearance. See, in other words, Barack Obama, who has committed multiple crimes, had altered, again, this executive order 1233 that was signed into law on the 4th of December, 1981, in December 4th, 1981, by U.S. President Ronald Reagan, was an executive order intended to extend powers and responsibilities of U.S. intelligence agencies and the director leaders of U.S. federal agencies to cooperate fully with the CIA. So then Barack
Excuse
Obama...
me, Bishop, it's interesting to note that the Lawfare blog run by Ben Wittes, which is, I think, a sinister operation, makes a point of saying that the Obama administration releases the long-awaited new Executive Order 12333, rules on sharing of raw signals intelligence. I haven't read this article, but people can dig into it, and undoubtedly this is going to put a positive spin on it because this is part connected to the Brookings Institute, Lawrence Tribe, the ideological father of lawfare, and this blog and Ben Wittes, its founder, are very closely connected to perpetuating this lie and trying to cover up, in my opinion, what was a murder of Peter W. Smith.
Absolutely. And see, these are crimes against humanity, okay? You talking about a Holocaust? This was a cold, calculated political Holocaust, not just against Donald Trump, not just against the Trump campaign, but against the Republican Party as a whole.
People of the United States.
And for the United States, absolutely. So this executive order, 12333, was altered by Barack Obama to fully and thoroughly weaponize the schematical structure of Washington, D.C., the deep state, to bring down one man, Donald J. Trump, an American citizen. So then James Baker, an attorney for the FBI, was exposed. You remember Peter Strzok, who was sleeping with Lisa Page, okay? And all of a sudden Lisa Page calls herself a victim. All those text messages and so a part of not just the American deep state, but the British deep state was involved as well, Jason. So the Trump campaign was spied and targeted by the FBI, the CIA, and including UK intelligence, Alex Younger, who is the chief of the MI6, right now, was involved in crafting the dossier for Christopher Steele, along with Sir Richard Dearlove, the
Oh, yeah.
former director of MI6. Both Dearlove and Alex Younger helped Christopher Steele craft and frame the Russian dossier. So then Barack Obama, the FBI, had commissioned the FBI to obtain a FISA warrant to spy on Carter Page, right, George Papadopoulos, thus creating a conspiracy which we call unmasking, the unmasking of intelligence gathering. The unmasking of intelligence gathering through the altering of the executive order of 12333. So the unmaskers that was disseminated within the Trump campaign to expose them: Susan Rice, Samantha Power, Dennis McDonald, the former White House chief of staff, Ben Rhodes, Sheila Murray. Now, Miss Murray, she was the senior advisor to Barack Obama. Her husband is a man by the name of Neil King. He still works for Fusion GPS.
Mm.
Remember Nellie Orr, the wife of Bruce Orr, the attorney within the Department of Justice. Nellie Orr had brought a flash drive to her husband trying to expose Donald Trump. Now, Nellie Orr and her husband, Bruce Orr, have known Glenn R. Simpson since 2010.
She's
So the
also a
entire,
communist. Nellie Orr spent a lot
she's
of time. Yeah.
yes. She's also a absolutely. All of these are present day communist, fascist, socialist Nazis trying to destroy the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence to bring in a third world type of government within the United States of America. Now here comes Special Counsel Robert Mueller, the beginning of the Mueller investigation from 2017 to 2019, where he interviewed thousands of people. There are hundreds of thousands of documents, which cost us, the taxpayer, between $32 and $35 million for a period between 2017 and 2019. Robert Mueller found no evidence of collusion between Donald J. Trump and the Russians. So as we move forward, dissecting the conception, the birth, and the plot to destroy Donald J. Trump, we're still dissecting the foundation, Jason, of what we call the conception. So, and to your listeners, Jason, if you get a chance, go to the website, fisc.uscourts.gov. Again, fisc.uscourts.gov. So that is the website of the FISA court. So if you notice under the heading current membership of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, you have 11 distinct judges, Jason, who make up the FISA court. 9 of the 11 judges were appointed by Barack Obama. Now think about that. Barack Obama was looking ahead way beyond his 8 years during his 2 terms. Barack Obama still wants to control the governmental apparatus of the United States of America. So as you look at 9 of the 11 judges were appointed by Barack Obama. Raymond J. Deary was appointed in 2012. Claire Egan, 2013. Rosemary Collier, 2013. Michael Mosman, 2013. James Boasberg, 2014. James P. Jones, 2015. Thomas B. Russell, 2015. So these 9 out of the 11 judges, including Ann C. Conway, she represented the Middle District of Florida. Okay, so then now we come to a interesting character on this court, a man by the name of Rudolph Contrisa, capital
Contreras.
C-O-N-T.
Rudy Contreras.
Contreras. capital Contrersa. So Rudolph Contreras, now wait a minute now, he oversees the District of Columbia. His domain, Jason, is not over the eastern part of New York. So any type of FISA warrant that needs to be granted has to be granted by that judge that's in that jurisdiction that is going to spy on that entity, a person, place, or thing in that district. Why was this this Rudolph Contreras chosen to give a FISA warrant to the FBI to spy on not just Carter Page, but also Donald Trump in the Trump campaign? Donald Trump Tower is not located in Washington, D.C. The Trump Tower is located in New York City. But Rudolph Contreras was handpicked by Barack Obama to greenlight the application as Judge Rudolph Contreras signed off on the application to spy on the Donald Trump campaign at Trump Tower, including General Michael Flynn for the Obama administration between 2016 and 2017. Only 2 out of the 11 judges were appointed by President Trump. So note this. So Barack Obama is in office between 2009, okay, up until January 19th, 2010, the day before the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. Notice only 2 out of the 11 judges were appointed, have been appointed since Trump took office. The remaining 9, Jason, are nothing more than Obama chosen maskers.
Mm-hmm.
These 9 judges have been weaponized by Barack Obama, still controlled by Barack Obama, as a deep state. These are deep state operatives, these 9 judges. And so I'm just sharing this with your listeners. Go to that website, the FISA court website. Now, Raymond J. Deary is over the Eastern District of New York. He's the one that should have signed off, not this Rudolph Contreras. So it's all based on a lie because of a salacious dossier that Christopher Steele bribing people all over the world and getting a lot of his information from the CNN report, really, going back to 2009. Okay, so suppose this man, this Rudolph Contreras, signed off on the FISA warrant. Now, the entire apparatus of the United States government, Jason, was weaponized against one man, Donald J. Trump. So then what the question we have to ask ourselves, what does this have to do with the birth and the conception to destroy Donald J. Trump? Because the entire apparatus of the United States government was paid millions and millions of dollars, okay, by the Russian government, all paid for play, Jason, okay, because of this Uranium One deal. This is a reason why that we have not just a congressional inquiry that we just finished some weeks ago, but now we have a Senate judiciary scene in Washington, D.C., a trial that, and when we talk about getting back to Nancy Pelosi, she did not have the legal right, okay, to begin this impeachment inquiry. She had no right. So when we talk about the conception, the birth, and next week we're going to get into the plot that is set in motion to destroy Donald J. Trump. And I got to say this too. Now, when we come up to the dossier, you got Sir Andrew Wood, John McCain, David Kramer, okay, James Comey, FBI, Andrew McCabe, Barack Obama, Joe Sleepy Creepy Biden, okay, FISA court, okay. And then during the transition, Jason, the entire Obama administration was weaponized as unmaskers to dissect into the personal lives of the upcoming Trump administration. Why? Because Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to the deep state. Now, my question is, why didn't CNN, the crack news network, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNBC, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, why did they not expose the dossier? Because they knew it was nothing but a lie. So then, Christopher Steele passing the dossier on to John McCain, which eventually was in the hands of Fusion GPS. So then Glenn Simpson gave it to BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed,
Yeah.
really? So BuzzFeed, back in August of 2014, received a $50 million seed grant from the venture capitalist firm, the Andreessen Horowitz firm, out of Menlo Park, California.
Wow.
Or the AH Capital Management firm, which supplied the Barack Obama, which is actually supplying the Barack Obama Foundation millions of dollars as we speak. There are also proponents of the global, the Clinton Global Initiative. So all of these connections here, and then Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz, who are venture capitalists, are still contributing to the Clinton Global Initiative. But BuzzFeed, on the 18th of January 2019, Robert Mueller disputed a BuzzFeed report that Donald Trump instructed Michael Cohen, who is nothing but a rat, to lie. Okay? So, in other words, Robert Mueller knew that this Russian dossier was built on a hoax, on a lie. And all of this, Jason, when we're talking about the conception, the birth, in the plot to destroy President Donald J. Trump, it was set in motion to cover up this crime of the Uranium One deal. In other words, Barack Obama committed treason. Hillary Clinton committed treason, okay? Nancy Pelosi committed treason. The entire apparatus of the U.S. intelligence agencies, the intelligence community, John Brennan committed treason, okay? James Clapper committed treason. James Comey, Andrew McCabe, all of these devils committed treason by selling 20% of our uranium to a foreign power. Jason, that is a crime that should bring on the death penalty.
Yeah. Well, and just to be clear, Bishop, as I understand it, it was 20%. It was the uranium mining rights to 20%, but it was still, it's a strategic asset, and everything you're saying about it is correct.
Absolutely. And to your listeners, I'm telling you, the Epoch Times, which is probably one of the most credible news outlets on this earth, really gave a detailed schematical timeline, okay, of Spygate, the true story of collusion from its conception till now. And also they really have been really the truth tellers in exposing both the Russian hoax and the Ukrainian hoax. So then the question is, what does the Biden family have to do with this? Now, I'm going to hold off on that until next week. But I will say that Joe Biden has been receiving millions of dollars, okay, from the Russian government because of his hand in the Uranium One deal. So then the entire government apparatus, I don't know about you, Jason, I'm only 56 years old. God willing, I'll be 57 next month. I have never seen, at least in my lifetime, a sitting president being the focal point of a political assassination. We have to understand what the term manipulation means. And this is Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein Obama is a master of manipulation. There is a difference between unintentional manipulation versus intentional manipulation. Barack Obama started this process unintentionally through unintentional manipulation to bring about the purpose of intentional manipulation to set political landmines during his last month of his presidency to destroy Donald J. Trump. Because someone, Jason, has to go to jail. If it's Barack Obama or Joe Biden, okay? If it's Jack Lew, if it's James Comey or Angel McCabe, okay? Somebody has to go to jail. John McCain dies all of a sudden of cancer. Interesting. So then John McCain was a part of this process. Listen, there is a difference between a conservative versus a Republican. Every conservative is a Republican, but not every Republican is a conservative. John McCain was a Republican by party, but John McCain was not a fiscal conservative because John McCain voted down, okay, against the appealment to get rid of Obamacare. Wait a minute now. So John McCain, who hates President Donald J. Trump that much, okay, was against the repealment of Obamacare. And you notice when John McCain was voting down the prospects of removing Obamacare, in other words, John McCain was for Obamacare, he gave a thumbs down on the TV screen. The hatred of this man, okay, who is burning in hell as we speak, was against the president, okay, because of pettiness, okay? So this is the reason why John McCain is burning in hell. So when we talk about FISA, when we talk about the deep state, do you know, Jason, not to get ahead of us concerning the Ukrainian conspiracy, but there is a man by the name of Joseph Coffer Black, who was the national security advisor for Mitt Romney's 2012 presidential campaign, okay, sat on the board of Burisma Holdings, the same board that Hunter Biden sat on, getting thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So this is the reason why, Jason, that they want to destroy Donald Trump.
We should also mention, Bishop, that Coffer Black was in the CIA.
Really? That I did not know.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Do you know what years he was in the CIA, Jason? Because this is the first time of me.
It's telling us on Wikipedia that Joseph Coffer Black is a former CIA official who was appointed ambassador at large and coordinator of counterterrorism by George W. Bush and led the Office of Counterterrorism in the U.S. State Department until his resignation in 2004. I happen to know that very often when someone is in the CIA, they're just sort of publicly referred to as being a State Department official. So let's presume it was during the period of, let's see, it says coordinator of counterterrorism 2002 to 2004. So I think that's probably his time in the CIA. In 1973, Black completed his BA at the University of Southern California. The next year, he earned a master's degree in international relations. Later that year, he left the doctoral program to join the CIA. So, wow, that's back in the 70s.
Wow. That I did not know, my friend. That
Up
is
until
powerful.
1999.
And I'm not being redundant. That's why you're a great host, because you constantly not only touch nerves in me to open doors to really teach your audience things I would not initially teach, but you also bring up other avenues that takes me to a higher level. And I thank God for you, my friend. So as we end this today, I did not want to bring in the Ukrainian side of this because there's so much information. So now the conception has been revealed, the birth has been exposed. Now next week we're going to bring your listeners into the Ukrainian plot to destroy a duly U.S. elected president. Now remember, the UK deep state, Alex Younger, okay, who is the chief of MI6, the British equivalent of the American CIA, is a anti-Trump politician, including Sir Richard Dearlove. the former director of MI6. Now, mind you, Alex Younger and Richard Dearlove are a part of the British pedophilia ring. They are a part of the British pedophilia ring. They're all involved in their what I call their Pizzagate within the British Empire. Alex Younger, Richard Dearlove, Christopher Steele, all of them are a part or support the pedophile system, okay? Okay, the British section of what we call NAMBLA here in New York City, the Man Boy Club. You and I talked about that entity back in June. This is the reason why they're so afraid of President Donald J. Trump. So all of these connections, all of these people from Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Susan Rice, Samantha Power, Dennis McConnell, Ben Rose, Shelley Murray, Neil King, Nellie Orr, they got to go to prison, Jason. Bruce Orr. All of these devils have to go to prison. And I'm telling you right now, is that when you look at the FISA court needs to be restructured, my friend.
Or dismantled. I'm not a big supporter of secret courts within the United States. And not to interrupt, Bishop, but for people who perhaps are watching you regularly but haven't seen Discovery CSI with David Hawkins, just last week, David and I went to the BBC Broadcasting House in London, and David has been telling us about this statue of Prospero and Ariane, which depicts an old man with a naked young boy and was carved by the depraved artist Eric Gill, who raped his own daughters. And of course, the BBC was the longtime home of Jimmy Savile, who is now well known to be perhaps the most prolific pedophile and necrophile, basically in history, friends of the royal family, total weird sicko. So, I mean, you know, for someone who might listen to you say that there is a system and a network of pedophile blackmailing going on in the United Kingdom, this is not stuff that you're making up.
Absolutely. And I am so glad that you're exposing these ley lines, because they're all interconnected, going back to the 2010 Uranium One deal, which is the template of why we are where we are with this so-called fake Ukrainian collusion, okay, and going back to the Russian collusion. And now we're in this Senate court trying to convict a duly elected president. It's not going to work. See, John Bolton is a traitor. He made $115,000. He received $115,000, Jason, for a pair of speeches that he gave back in September 2017 to February 2018. Who signed that check? The Ukrainian steel oligarch Viktor Pinchuk, capital Pinchuk. Wait a minute. So then the Viktor Pinchuk Foundation is connected to Ukrainian corruption. John Bolton is a part of that. And this is the reason why you got RINOs, okay, like Mitt Romney and Susan Collins. Oh, we need witnesses. No, we need to end this charade now, because it's built on the foundation of a lie. The origination is the dossier and this so-called whistleblower. Wait a minute now. So all of you Democrats want President Trump to bring witnesses, but you cannot bring the whistleblower. Why? Because they know that the whistleblower is interconnected, going back to Christopher Steele, and the dossier is all built on lies. So I believe from April 2018 to September 2019, as I close out. So, you know, John Bolton was the national security advisor who was fired because he was undermining President Trump's negotiations with North Korea. Why was John Bolton doing that? Because North Korea received a piece of that uranium that came from Europe, that came from Canada, that came from the United States because of this 2010 uranium deal. You see the dots being connected here. So then Viktor Pinchuk exceeded $10 million in donations to who? The Clinton Foundation. See, this is all a part of a conspiracy to destroy Donald J. Trump. All of a sudden, John Bolton's book is leaked to the press.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Who leaked it? Was Simon Schuster's editor-in-chief, Jonathan Karp, also through the Javelin Literary Group, which is a section of Simon Schuster here in New York City, okay, and in DC. Keith Urban, not the singer now, but Keith Urban, Urbahn, both are major financial contributors to the Clinton Foundation.
Oh.
Jonathan Karp of Simon Schuster, Keith Urban of the Javelin Literary Group, a part of the Simon Schuster family. They're pro-Clinton. They're pro-Obama. But all of a sudden, they leak this. Again, somebody has to go to prison. So this is the conception in the birth, my friend, of the plot to destroy Donald J. Trump. And we're going to get into the full-fledged of the plot concerning the Ukraine conspiracy, which has brought us now to the Senate trial of Donald J. Trump.
Wow, it's amazing, Bishop. You've really done a tremendous amount of work there in putting together so much information. It's a good summary for people who perhaps weren't aware of some of this stuff. Thankfully, a lot of the viewers of Crowdsource the Truth are aware of a lot of this. But again, it's worth going over this ground because there are so many details. I want to mention that just the other day, I interviewed former Palm Beach County Sheriff's Deputy John Mark Dugan, who's currently basically in exile. He had to flee the United States for fear for his life, but he is in touch with a high-level executive at Burisma who is ready to come forward and blow the whistle. But this Burisma executive whistleblower is afraid to do that while in Ukraine. So John has started a GoFundMe page. It's the Help Relocate Burisma Whistleblower Employee GoFundMe page, and they're trying to put together $10,000 so that this whistleblower can come to Russia and basically, provide this information without the fear of death. I hope that our viewers will visit the GoFundMe. I'm pasting the link to that GoFundMe page into the comments right now so people can check that out and hopefully go there. Keep in mind that the main Crowdsource the Truth YouTube channel, the Jason Goodman YouTube channel, has been attacked by social engineers who have struck multiple YouTube videos, basically fraudulent strikes against those videos. But it's an effort, Bishop, to suppress the type of information that you're bringing forward, the type of information that John Mark Dugan is bringing forward. They don't want us to facilitate people having access to this information or people being able to help contribute, small amounts of money. Thousands and thousands of people see these videos that you and I create. So if somebody goes to this GoFundMe page right now and even just puts in $5, this is the type of thing that could actually move the needle on getting this whistleblower out of Ukraine and getting information into the public domain that could help President Donald Trump overcome this kangaroo court. And, while I agree with you, Bishop, that he's innocent of these charges and the whole thing is a sham, I am shocked and concerned to observe how far down the road this sham impeachment has been able to go. And I'm concerned when people just rest on the confidence that the president will not be removed, because so far nothing that's happened is legitimate or in accordance with the Constitution or the law. So I think there is a real danger right now that this problem could grow for the president.
See, this is the goal of the shadow government. You have the deep state. That is the physical manifestation of what we call the shadow government. So the shadow government has its own constitution. Oh my God, that's another topic we got to get into one day. There is another constitution and another Declaration of Independence that was created by the shadow government, okay, conceived into the shadow government right after JFK's assassination, which gave birth to the American deep state. So then I am afraid, just like you, Jason, they want to drag this man, President Donald J. Trump, okay? They want to drag this into the election. And if he gets elected, they're not going to stop, Jason.
Right.
So what President Trump has to do, he has to start arresting people. I mean, he's got to, commission the director of the FBI. He has got to start arresting people, okay? Making people turn on each other, okay? Because I have never seen the deep state on this level. John F. Kennedy is one thing. So not just the American deep state, not just the British deep state, but you got the Australian deep state
Yeah.
that's involved as well. Alexander Downer,
Yeah.
Lewis Sussman, Jonathan Clark. So as we end this today, Jason, the conception, the birth, and the plot to destroy President Donald J. Trump. There are more political and historical ley lines to connect on next week as we enter into the Ukrainian phase of this series.
Absolutely, Bishop. And we'll be back at our regular time next week on Tuesday at 1 p.m. I want to remind viewers that they can support the Bishop's Global Spiritual Revolution by going to paypal.me/GSRRmediagroup.com. And people can also listen to the Bishop on Life Radio. If you go to Life Radio NJ/Gaiters, you can listen to the Bishop. Where else can people hear you, Bishop?
On the USA Radio Network, usaradio.com, usaradio.com, every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, and also every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll be on the air tomorrow on the Life Radio Network, 92.9 FM, 1460 AM from 7 to 9 p.m. And then this Friday on the USA Radio Network from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Excellent. So people can tune in there on Life Radio. Bishop, I want to thank you for another great presentation. And I want to remind people that I can't bring you guests like the Bishop Larry Gaiters without your sponsorship. So please go to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and become a sponsor. In addition to making this show possible, you're going to get access to a huge and growing library of sponsor-exclusive videos that don't appear anywhere else. Later tonight at 8 p.m., we're going to have High Dive with Lee Stranahan. That's a sponsor-exclusive show that you'll only see on Subscribestar and Patreon. So please join us there. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Bishop, thank you for another great presentation, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, my friend. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks very much. And don't forget, at 4 p.m., we've got Charles Ortel closing in. See everybody then.